Welcome to the Pursuit Chronicles, where hidden truths, bold journeys, and untold stories come to life. Get ready to chase the extraordinary. What if a tech titan's empire was challenged by a rival who mistook his solitude for weakness? This sprawling tale follows Ethan Caldwell, a 40-year-old billionaire CEO of Nexus Dynamics, whose brilliance is tested by Victor Lang, a cunning competitor bent on his destruction. Victor believes Ethan's isolation makes him an easy target in the cutthroat world of AI and biotech, but Victor is blind to Ethan's secret, a partnership with an unlikely ally that will dismantle his schemes and redefine power. Stay until the end, because what begins with a rival's arrogance will end with his empire in ashes, and Ethan's quiet strength will forge a legacy of connection and triumph. The fog curled over San Francisco Bay like a living thing, its tendrils brushing the glass walls of Ethan Caldwell's penthouse. At 40, Ethan was the mastermind behind Nexus Dynamics, a colossus in artificial intelligence and biotechnology that had reshaped the world. His neural implants restored memories to Alzheimer's patients. His predictive algorithms halted pandemics before they spread, and his quantum processors optimized global supply chains with eerie precision. His name was synonymous with genius, his face a fixture on Forbes and Wired covers. Yet Ethan remained an enigma, a recluse who shunned the spotlight. His penthouse, perched atop a financial district skyscraper, was a monument to his wealth. A sleek expanse of polished concrete, modernist furniture, and floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected the city's glow. But it was also a fortress, cold and silent, save for the hum of servers and the rustle of pages in his vast library of rare books. Aristotle, Asimov, Sun Tzu, his only companions beyond the machines. The air carried a faint scent of cedar and leather, a nod to Ethan's one indulgence, his collection. The space was opulent yet sterile, a paradox of wealth and isolation. A private gym gleamed with unused equipment, a kitchen sparkled with stainless steel, and a wall of screens displayed Nexus's real-time data streams. Ethan's only human connection was Elena Martinez, his housekeeper of 15 years. A sharp-witted woman in her late 50s, Elena cooked his meals, kept the penthouse pristine, and offered quiet wisdom when Ethan's mood darkened. Her warm presence was a tether to the world he'd left behind, though even she couldn't pierce the walls he'd built around his heart. Ethan's life was his work, his empire a shield against the vulnerabilities he'd sworn never to expose. Again, his rise was a saga of grit and betrayal forged in the rough streets of Oakland. The eldest of three, Ethan grew up in a cramped apartment, his father a mechanic, his mother a math teacher at a struggling school. Money was scarce, but Ethan's mind was boundless. At 12, he scavenged junkyards for circuit boards, building his first computer from scraps. By 16, he'd coded encryption software that stumped local hackers, earning whispers of awe from the Bay Area's tech underground. A full scholarship to Stanford catapulted him into a new world, where his algorithms for disease prediction dazzled professors and drew the attention of Silicon Valley's elite, but a betrayal at 23 defined him most. A business partner, Daniel Reed, stole his prototype for a diagnostic AI, selling it for millions and leaving Ethan with nothing but debt and a burning resolve. He swore never to let trust blind him again, channeling his pain into a relentless drive that birthed Nexus Dynamics. Nexus began in a rented warehouse, with Ethan coding through sleepless nights, fueled by coffee and vengeance. His first breakthrough, an AI that optimized hospital workflows, saved thousands of lives, and caught the eye of investors. Within a decade, Nexus was a global force, its campus a futuristic sprawl of glass domes, vertical gardens, and humming labs. Ethan's leadership was unrelenting. He foresaw market shifts, outpaced rivals, and demanded perfection. His employees revered him, though they whispered of his intensity, his refusal to delegate, his solitary habits. Ethan didn't care. Trust was a luxury. Control was his currency. The campus buzzed with innovation, drones that learned in real time, neural implants that rewired damaged brains, algorithms that predicted market crashes with uncanny accuracy. Nexus was more than a company. It was Ethan's vision of a world where technology served humanity, not greed, But success bred enemies, and none burned hotter than Victor Lang, CEO of Apex Innovations. At 47, Victor was Ethan's foil, a charismatic showman with a shark smile and a ruthless streak. Apex trailed Nexus in innovation but excelled in aggression, poaching talent, undercutting contracts, leaking rumors of Nexus's unethical experiments. Victor saw Ethan's reclusiveness as a fatal flaw, a lone genius ripe for defeat in the cutthroat world of tech. His latest gambit was audacious, a bid to partner with Helena Voss, a German tech magnate whose biotech empire held patents critical to Nexus's neural implant project. Helena's investment could secure Nexus's dominance, or in Victor's hands tip the scales toward Apex, reshaping the global AI race. Helena, 60, was a titan in her own right, blending old-world values with cutting-edge vision. Her biotech firm had pioneered gene therapies and neural interfaces, and her patents were the key to unlocking Nexus's next frontier. She'd invited Ethan and Victor to a summit in Berlin, a high-stakes showdown to win her partnership. Her email was clear: bring a significant other to the closing dinner. I invest in people, not just ideas. Show me your world. For Victor, it was a trivial demand. His fiancée Claudia was a media darling who dazzled investors with her charm and poise. For Ethan, it was a crisis. He had no partner, no time for one, and no patience for pretense. But Helena's patents were non-negotiable, and going alone would let Victor paint him as detached, unfit for a partnership built on trust. Ethan needed a solution, and he needed it fast. The summit loomed, and Ethan's assistant, Priya Sharma, was blunt over a secure line, her voice edged with urgency. Helena's serious about the partner requirement, Ethan. Victor's bringing Claudia, and he'll use your solitude against you. If you show up alone, he'll spin it as proof you're a loner who can't handle personal connections. It'll cost you Helena's trust. Ethan paced his penthouse, the bourbon glass sweating in his hand, the city lights blurring beyond the glass. Relationships weren't his domain. His life was Nexus, his empire a shield against the world. But Priya was right. Victor would weaponize any weakness, and Helena's investment was too critical to lose. I don't have time for this, Priya, he said, his voice tight. Find someone sharp, professional, who can hold their own. Priya's tone shifted to efficiency. I'll compile a list. Discreet, intelligent, polished. We'll make it a business arrangement. Meetings by tomorrow. Priya delivered with her usual precision, sending a list of escorts with impeccable credentials: a former diplomat fluent in 5 languages, a tech consultant with an MBA, a multilingual lawyer with a knack for negotiation. Ethan met them in his office, a stark cube of chrome and glass overlooking the bay. The diplomat was too stiff, reciting her resume like a script, her smile practiced but hollow. The consultant was too eager, her eyes glinting with ambition for a permanent role. The lawyer was polished but cold, her responses calculated, lacking the warmth Helena would expect. None felt authentic enough to convince a woman as perceptive as Helena, who could spot a facade from across a room. Frustrated, Ethan left for The Grind, a cozy coffee shop in the Mission District, where the scent of roasted beans and the clatter of mugs grounded him. The shop was a haven, its worn wooden tables and mismatched chairs, a stark contrast to his sterile penthouse. Regulars chatted over laptops, baristas bantered, and the hum of life offered a rare escape from the weight of his empire. Behind the counter was Nora Bennett, a 28-year-old barista with auburn hair tied in a loose bun and green eyes that sparkled with quiet intensity. Nora moved with effortless grace, juggling orders, calming a rude customer with a quip, and tossing witty banter with regulars. Her name tag was slightly askew, but her presence was magnetic, confident, warm, unflappable. Ethan watched her navigate a morning rush, diffusing a shouting patron with a smile and a free latte, her calm a beacon in the chaos. She reminded him of Elena, grounded but with a spark of ambition that hinted at untapped potential. Nora was no ordinary barista. Her quick wit and sharp gaze suggested a mind that thrived under pressure, a quality Ethan valued above all. When the rush slowed, Ethan approached, his bourbon replaced by a black coffee. Nora, he said, reading her tag. I'm Ethan Caldwell. I have an unusual request. Nora wiped her hands on her apron, eyeing him with a mix of curiosity and caution, her lips curling slightly. You're the Nexus guy, billionaire, AI genius. What's a tech mogul doing asking a barista for favors? Ethan explained the summit, Helena's dinner, the need for a partner, his voice steady but direct. It's one night in Berlin. All expenses paid plus a significant fee. You're quick, intuitive, and you read people. I saw you handle that jerk without breaking a sweat. You'd be perfect. Nora crossed her arms, studying him, her brow furrowing as she processed the request. She worked 2 jobs, barista by day, freelance coder by night, to fund her master's in data science and support her younger brother, Jake, a high school senior. The money was tempting, enough to cover Jake's tuition and ease her own financial strain, but this was a leap into a world she barely understood. You're asking me to pose as your girlfriend for a billionaire's dinner? Nora said, her tone a mix of disbelief and amusement. That's wild? Ethan nodded, unflinching. It's a business arrangement. Full transparency, every detail prepared. You'd have my team's support. I need someone who can match Helena Voss's intensity, and you've got that in spades. Nora hesitated, her mind racing. She'd grown up in Fresno, lost her parents in a car accident at 16, and raised Jake while scraping through scholarships. Coding was her escape, data science her passion, but this was a different kind of challenge. Why me? She asked, her voice probing, searching for the catch. Ethan met her gaze, his intensity softening. You're authentic. You don't just charm people. You understand them. Helena will see through a hired actress. She won't see through you. Nora chewed her lip, weighing the risks against the reward. The fee could change her life, but the stakes were high. After a long pause, she nodded. All right, Mr. Caldwell, I'm in, but I have conditions. I want everything in writing. Fee, expectations, timeline. And I need to know exactly what I'm walking into. Ethan exhaled, a weight lifting. Done. We'll start tomorrow. The next week was a crash course in deception and connection. Ethan brought Nora to Nexus's campus, a sprawling complex of glass domes, vertical gardens, and humming labs that felt like a city unto itself. In a conference room overlooking the bay, he briefed her on Nexus's projects. Neural implants. To restore cognitive function, AI for pandemic prediction, quantum processors for global logistics. He detailed Helena's background, a biotech pioneer who valued trust over flash, and Victor's tactics, charm laced with sabotage, a knack for exploiting weaknesses. Nora listened intently, her questions sharp and incisive, catching Ethan off guard. What's Helena's endgame? She asked, leaning forward. She's not just investing for profit, she's too principled for that. Ethan paused, impressed. She wants tech to serve humanity, not control it. That's why she's so picky about partners. Nora nodded, filing it away, her mind already strategizing. Nora shared her own story, her voice steady but unguarded, as they sat over coffee in the Nexus cafeteria. She'd lost her parents young, raised Jake on her own, and clawed her way through scholarships and side hustles. Coding was her refuge, a way to impose order on chaos, and her master's was her ticket to a better life. Ethan found himself opening up, sharing more than he'd intended. The warehouse days, Daniel Reed's betrayal, the drive that built. Nexus. It was the most he'd revealed in years, and Nora's quiet empathy disarmed him. You didn't just build a company, she said, her eyes steady. You built a wall. Why? Ethan looked away, the question cutting deeper than he'd expected. It's safer that way, he said finally. No one can hurt you if you don't let them in. Nora's smile was soft, understanding, and the moment lingered, a bridge forming between them. Priya arranged a stylist, and they visited a boutique in Pacific Heights, a chic space of mirrored walls and soft lighting. Nora tried on gowns, her discomfort fading as she found her stride. They settled on a deep emerald dress that hugged her frame and complemented her eyes, elegant but not ostentatious. You look like you belong in that world, Ethan said as she stepped out of the dressing room, his voice quieter than usual. Nora smirked, adjusting the fabric. Good, because I'm about to bluff my way through it. They crafted their backstory. They'd met at a tech conference, bonded over AI ethics, and were exploring a relationship. Nora suggested small touches, shared glances, casual banter, to sell the ruse, her ease putting Ethan at ease despite his unease with intimacy. "Relax, Ethan," she said over coffee, her laughter bright. "We're not diffusing a bomb. Just pretend you like me." Ethan's lips twitched. "I don't have to pretend that." Nora's smile faltered, then softened, and they moved. On the moment a spark in the growing connection. Their preparation wasn't without tension. Nora's brother, Jake, resented her absence, his text sharp and accusing. "You're always working," he wrote one night as Nora sat in Ethan's penthouse, reviewing notes. "What about me?" Nora's jaw tightened, guilt gnawing at her. She called him, her voice firm but gentle. "I'm doing this for us, Jake. One night, and it could change everything." Jake's silence was heavy, but he muttered, "Fine, just don't forget me." Ethan overheard, his own memories of family sacrifice stirring. "He's lucky to have you," he said, his tone soft. Nora nodded, her eyes distant. "I just hope he sees it someday." One evening, as they reviewed Helena's profile, Nora spotted Ethan's library, a wall of leather-bound books that felt like a glimpse into his soul. "You're a sci-fi nerd," she teased, pulling out Neuromancer. "This explains the whole lone genius vibe." Ethan chuckled, a rare sound that warmed the sterile space. "It's an escape. What's yours?" Nora's eyes softened. "Poetry. I write to make sense of the world. It's not much, but it's mine." Ethan leaned closer, intrigued. "I'd like to read it." Nora's smile was shy, a crack in her confident facade. "Maybe, if you earn it." The exchange was light, but it deepened their bond, a shared vulnerability that neither had expected. The Berlin summit was held at the Adlon Kempinski, a grand hotel with marble halls and crystal chandeliers that gleamed like frozen stars. Ethan and Nora arrived early, her arm linked with his, her emerald gown catching the light. The air buzzed with the energy of the tech elite, CEOs, investors, innovators from across the globe. Victor Lang was already there, his fiancée Claudia, dripping in diamonds, her smile as polished as her designer dress. Victor's handshake was firm, his smile predatory as he greeted Ethan. "Didn't expect you to bring company, Caldwell. Who's this?" Nora stepped forward, her handshake steady, her smile disarming. "Nora Bennett, Ethan's partner." Victor's eyes narrowed, a flicker of surprise betraying his composure, but Claudia chimed in, charmed. "Lovely to meet you, Nora. How did you two meet?" Nora's response was seamless, her voice warm. "At a tech conference, Ethan was debating AI ethics, and I couldn't resist jumping in. He's stubborn, but I like a challenge." Ethan stifled a grin, playing along. She won the argument, had to keep her around. Helena Voss arrived, a regal woman with silver hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see through facades. Her presence commanded the room, her tailored suit, a nod to her no-nonsense style. She greeted Ethan warmly, her gaze lingering on Nora. "I'm delighted you brought someone, Ethan. Tell me about yourself, Nora." Nora wove their story with ease, blending tech-savvy with personal anecdotes, her warmth balancing Ethan's intensity. She asked Helena about her early days in biotech, drawing a rare laugh from the magnate. "You're curious," Helena said, her tone approving. "That's a good sign." Ethan watched, impressed, as Nora navigated the conversation, her authenticity a stark contrast to Victor's polished aggression. The summit's panels were a battleground, with Victor dominating discussions, boasting about Apex's drones and hinting at Nexus's overhyped tech. Ethan countered with precision, detailing Nexus's ethical standards and global impact, but Victor's jabs were relentless, each one designed to undermine Ethan's credibility. Nora, seated in the audience, took mental notes, her coder's mind analyzing Victor's tactics. During a break, she pulled Ethan aside. "He's baiting you," she said, her voice low. "He wants you to lose your cool. Stay focused on Helena. She's watching you, not him." Ethan nodded, her clarity grounding him, a reminder of why he'd chosen her. The closing dinner was held in a private dining room, its long table adorned with candles and crystal. Helena sat at the head, Victor and Claudia to her left, Ethan and Nora to her right. The air was thick with tension, each word a move in an invisible chess game. Victor dominated early, his charm masking his barbs as he praised Apex's innovations while subtly questioning Nexus's stability. Claudia played her part, her laughter light but calculated, her anecdotes designed to humanize. Victor. Ethan remained steady, his responses measured, detailing Nexus's vision with a quiet conviction that drew Helena's attention. Nora was the wild card, her warmth and wit disarming the table. She spoke of her studies in data science, her passion for ethical tech, and even shared a story about coding a program to help her brother with math homework, earning a chuckle from Helena. "You're a problem solver," Helena said, her eyes sharp. "I like that." Midway through the dinner, Helena turned personal, her voice cutting through the small talk. "Ethan, Nora, how do you balance your lives with such demanding careers?" Ethan hesitated, his instinct to deflect, but Nora jumped in, her hand brushing his. "It's about trust," she said, her smile genuine. "Ethan's work is his world, but he makes time for what matters, like arguing over old sci-fi novels." The table laughed, and Helena's eyes softened, charmed. "That's rare," she said. "Victor, Claudia, how do you manage?" Claudia gushed about their socialite life, her words polished but hollow, while Victor's smile tightened, his control slipping. He sensed Ethan gaining ground, his plan unraveling under Nora's unassuming brilliance. As dessert arrived, a delicate chocolate tart, Helena leaned toward Ethan, her voice low. "Nexus's vision is bold, but it's your integrity I value. Nora, you ground him. That's a strength." Victor's jaw clenched, his fork pausing midair, a flicker of rage betraying his composure. Nora's presence had shifted the dynamic, her authenticity a weapon Victor hadn't anticipated. After dinner, Helena pulled Ethan aside in the hotel's marble corridor, her expression resolute. "I'm leaning toward Nexus for the partnership. Your work aligns with my values, and your partner, she's remarkable. Let's finalize details tomorrow." Ethan nodded, relief flooding him, his voice steady. "Thank you, Helena. I look forward to it." Victor cornered Ethan as they left, his voice a low hiss, his fiancée lingering out of earshot. "Nice trick, Caldwell, parading a fake girlfriend to win Helena's sympathy. Pathetic." Ethan met his gaze unflinching, his voice calm but edged with steel. "You underestimated me, Victor. That's your mistake, not mine." Victor's smile was a snarl, but he stepped back, his confidence shaken. Nora, watching from a distance, joined Ethan, her hand brushing his arm. "He's rattled," she said, her tone light but sharp. "Good." In the car back to their hotel, the Berlin skyline glittering beyond the windows, Ethan turned to Nora, his voice softer than usual. "You were phenomenal tonight. Helena bought every word, but more than that, you made it real." Nora grinned, kicking off her heels, her feet curling beneath her. "Team effort, Ethan. You held your own against Victor's ego, and that's no small feat." Ethan laughed, a rare sound that filled the car, but his expression grew serious, his eyes searching hers. "This started as a deal, Nora, but I don't want it to end here. You've changed something in me, something I didn't know was broken." Nora's smile softened, her gaze steady, a mix of vulnerability and strength. "I feel it too, Ethan, but let's take it slow. No contracts, no deadlines, just us." Ethan nodded, a weight lifting, his hand finding hers in the dim light. "Deal." The weeks that followed were a blur of change, a new chapter unfolding in the wake of Berlin. Helena's investment propelled Nexus to new heights, her biotech, patents unlocking breakthroughs in neural implants that promise to transform lives. Nexus's campus buzzed with renewed energy, its labs humming with experiments, its employees inspired by Ethan's quiet leadership. But Ethan's true transformation was personal, rooted in the connection he'd forged with Nora. They met in San Francisco, sharing coffee at the grind, walks along the Embarcadero, and quiet nights in his penthouse, where the sterile space began to feel like a home. Nora showed Ethan her poetry, raw and vivid, each line a window into her soul. He read them by the library's glow, his voice soft as he quoted a line about resilience, his eyes meeting hers. "This is you," he said, and Nora's smile was shy, a gift she hadn't shared with anyone else. Ethan, in turn, shared his fears. The weight of Nexus, the shadow of Daniel Reed's betrayal, the dread of failing those who depended on him. Nora listened, her empathy a balm, her questions pushing him to confront truths he'd buried. "You're not alone anymore," she said one night as they sat on his balcony, the bay shimmering below. "You don't have to carry it all." Ethan's hand tightened around hers, the words sinking in. A promise he was beginning to believe. Nora's life shifted too. She enrolled in her master's program full-time, the summit fee easing her financial strain. Her poetry found a small audience online, a literary journal publishing her first piece, a quiet triumph she celebrated with Ethan over takeout and laughter. Victor Lang's empire, meanwhile, began to crumble. The Berlin summit had exposed his weaknesses. Helena's rejection a public blow to Apex's credibility. Whispers of Victor's aggressive tactics, leaked emails, poached talent, surfaced in the tech press, eroding his investor base. Apex's stock dipped, its board grew restless, and Victor's charisma couldn't stem the tide. Ethan watched. From a distance, his focus on Nexus, not revenge, but he felt a quiet satisfaction knowing Victor's hubris had been his undoing. Nora, ever the strategist, summed it up over coffee. "He built his empire on fear," she said, her eyes sharp. "You built yours on trust. That's why you're still standing." Their relationship deepened, each moment a step toward something lasting. Ethan introduced Nora to Elena, who embraced her like a daughter, her warm laughter filling the penthouse. Priya, Ethan's assistant, became a friend, her dry humor a counterpoint to Nora's wit. Jake, Nora's brother, softened toward her, his resentment fading as he saw the life she was building. One evening, as they walked along the bay, the Golden Gate Bridge glowing in the distance, Ethan stopped, his heart racing. He pulled a small package from his pocket, a rare first-edition Dune, its pages worn but cherished. Inside was a note. "Build a future with me?" Nora laughed, tears in her eyes, her voice steady as she said, "Yes, Ethan, yes." They kissed under the stars, the city a witness to their promise. Their wedding was small, held on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, the waves crashing below. Elena cooked a feast, Priya gave a toast that had everyone laughing, and Jake walked. Nora down the aisle, his pride evident. Nora wore a simple dress, her auburn hair loose, her smile brighter than the sun. Ethan, in a tailored suit, looked at her like she was the only person in the world. They exchanged vows that spoke of trust, resilience, and the unexpected beauty of connection, their words carrying the weight of their journey. The guests, Nexus colleagues, Nora's classmates, a few close friends, cheered as they kissed, the ocean a roaring applause. Nexus thrived in the years that followed, its neural implants saving lives, its AI shaping a more equitable world. Ethan balanced his empire with his life, his once sterile penthouse now filled with Nora's books, Jake's visits, and the laughter of their daughter Lily, born 2 years later. Nora published her first poetry collection, dedicating it to Ethan, her words a testament to their love. Victor Lang faded into obscurity, his empire a cautionary tale of greed, while Ethan and Nora built a legacy of intellect, trust, and connection. Their story, born in a coffee shop and tested in the crucible of power, proved that true strength lies not in solitude, but in the bonds we forge, the risks we take, and the love that transforms us. Thanks for watching The Pursuit Chronicles. If the story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the pursuit never ends.